and it's the person beside you. How intimate relationships shape our lives. That's what chapter 7 was. It says to be alive is to be vulnerable. To be alive is to be vulnerable. To be vulnerable is to be alive. To be invulnerable is to be dead. And you have a lot of dead men walking. You have a lot of dead men walking. People that are already dead. It's just for them to get to be put into coffins. Right? If you're not vulnerable, you cannot change. You cannot adjust. You are set in your ways. You are dead. To be alive is to be vulnerable, is to be touched by life, is to respond to life. If you're not vulnerable, you cannot love. You cannot have a healthy relationship with another human being. So if you want to love, if you want to live, you have to be vulnerable. And to what extent you are vulnerable will determine how intimate you can be in any relationship. If you're not vulnerable, and to what extent you're vulnerable determines the intimacy or the connectedness you can have with other people, right? So love is the name of the pursuit of wholeness. So Plato was telling us that love is about pursuing wholeness. That we, as it were, God created whole people, then divided them and put what completes us in other people. And that's true, even though it's a bit mythical, but the real essence of the story is true. You are not complete in yourself. Our completeness is found in other people. We're here to be a blessing to someone else. Just being a blessing to yourself will not fulfill you. The essence of every organism is found outside of that organism, not within that organism. In love, we become fulfilled. In loving other people, we get our fulfillment. In relating with other people, we get our fulfillment. Yes, there's a height of it when I marry my spouse. So in my spouse, we use that word my better half or whatever. But just talking about that, I find completeness, I find wholeness in relating with my spouse. There is that in that sense, but that there's still also will find completeness in other people, but it's not sexually, it's just the psychological part, right? There is a contract we have with our spouse, so we can go into some things, but we'll still find that completeness in other people, but we don't necessarily to go to the eros part. Part of this, we talked about different kinds of love. We talk about the agape love, the filial love, the eros love, romantic love, platonic love, so the different kinds of love. So when we're talking about completeness here, we're talking first about the agape love and the filial love. Because with the filial love, it's a liking. There's something in that person that I like. Doesn't mean I have to have eros for that person, right? I need a contract, an agreement, an arrangement to how to go into eros. I might feel it. Doesn't mean I have to consummate it, right? So love is the name of the pursuit. Plato would put it also go on and say, love is born into every human being. It calls back the halves of our original nature together. It tries to make us one out of two and heal the wound of human nature. Just talking about the drive to love somebody. Being vulnerability is a choice, it's a human choice, but it's a choice for life. Right? It's a choice for life. A lot of people say he's lonely at the top. No, it's not. It's only lonely because you're not vulnerable, because you have not learned the heart of leading, right? It's not lonely at the top. It's you have made yourself lonely. Being progress in life doesn't make you lonely. It's a choice. You made a choice not to be vulnerable, right? If you're vulnerable, you will not be lonely at the top. You'll be able to relate freely with other people. If you know who you are, you don't have to be scared of being disrespected. Like Margaret Thatcher would say, if a lady has to tell you she's a lady, then she's not a lady. If a gentleman has to tell you he's a gentleman, he's not a gentleman. If a leader has to tell you he's a leader, is not a leader, because who you are will exude the respect that people will give to you, right? You cannot love and be loved unless you choose to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is a door that opens the flow of love from one person to the other. If both of them are closed, love cannot flow. Love cannot flow. For love to flow, they have to be open. Now, how open they are will determine the level of intimacy of that relationship. But there has to be an opening. And sometimes it's a little opening. As trust is built, you can open more. Trust is built, you can open more. Trust is built, you can open more. Obviously, the opening more, there are risks involved. So you need to protect yourself also, right? But you cannot be closed. If you're closed, you cannot relate. You're not alive. You're going to be lonely. And loneliness is dangerous. It's detrimental to your health, spiritually, psychologically, and physically, right? The only true gift is a portion of yourself. And you give a portion of yourself by being vulnerable, right? What makes you vulnerable makes you beautiful, right? The way we show our beauty is in our vulnerability. It's our stepping out to be a blessing, stepping out to connect, right? So without attention, no relationship, no matter how strong, can survive, right? We need to give attention to our relationships. We need to step out, to be a blessing, step out to love. James Baldwin puts it this way, said, love takes off the mask that we fear we cannot live without, and no, we cannot live within, right? Love helps us to be vulnerable. Albert W. Armstrong puts it this way, he said, love is unselfish. It is not an emotion, though it may be expressed with an emotional content. Love is not an emotion, though it can be expressed with an emotional content. Love is basically unselfish. True love combines the rational aspect of outgoing concern. If you love, you are concerned about the person. Love, you're concerned about the person, not necessarily the emotion. You are concerned about the person. The desire to help the person, to serve the person, to give to the person, to share with the person. You combine that with a sincere, concerned, affectionate feeling, right? Is the feeling and the desire to help, to be a blessing. What we say about what an healthy relationship is where two or more people come together because of what they can give, not what they can get. What they can give, not what they can get. Even though what keeps them together is what they get, not what they give. We call it the paradox of relationship, and it is true, right?